Again, the anchor for a stellar Jazz defense. And I don't care what anyone says. He is their most important player to that team. Hello and welcome to the Monday, May 10th edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're all having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I do have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other awesome content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss an episode. And for all my podcast listeners, remember to subscribe and leave a review if you're on Apple, and just show your support in any way possible through Spotify, Anchor, or Podbean. I have an awesome show lineup for you today. Not many topics. And matter of fact, it's actually just one topic. We're going to be going through each All-NBA team I have for this season. There's like 4 or 5 games left for many of these teams, and I think this is a good time to name my All-NBA teams. First team, second team, and third team, we're going to go through all of that. Obviously, we're going to have some other news and notes to just look around the NBA. And also, we're going to end things off with the second to last power rankings of the season. So, yeah, very action-packed episode. Thank you guys for all the support on the podcast. And remember, like I said, come playoff time, we're going to have some guests on the show. We're going to have some extra content, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. And, yeah, just continue to just come on this journey with me. And it's going to be a really fun time going through the playoffs, hopefully having some other guests on. And yeah, it's going to be some great basketball coming very soon. So yeah, now that we got that out the way, let's get into these All-NBA teams because, man, these are extremely tough. And I want to tell you guys before I go into these teams kind of my criteria. Obviously, it's the performance on the season, how much you affected your team. Injuries, compared to previous years, I am not going to be counting injuries as much. Maybe like depending on what All NBA team they're on, but this season injuries are kind of like a constant. This kind of as you if you guys watch the entire season, or at least most of the season, you will understand that a bunch of these stars have had injuries. So I've become a little bit more lenient on that for getting them into these teams. Obviously, position helps, like where you are with your team, how good you've been playing. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick the top 15 players in basketball. It's not even really the top 15 players in basketball this season, to be honest. It's just, the 2 guards, 2 forwards, the center, which I do not think should be on the All-NBA team voting. I do believe that if you have 3 forwards, I think that would be at least a better representation of how things are. But it is what it is. We're going to have to include a center. And yeah, I'm going to start from the All-NBA third team all the way down to the All-NBA first team. Kind of give a little snippet on why I have them there. And yeah, just like it's going to be a very fun episode. It's going to cause a lot of discussion, so let me know down below what you guys think of these All-NBA teams. And yeah, so this is going to take a while, but sit back, relax, and let's get into the All-NBA third team. And we're going to start from guards to center. And we're going to start with the first All-NBA guard for the All-NBA third team. My first guard, we got to talk Kyrie Irving. In 51 games, he's averaged 27 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, 6.2 assists. And what I want to talk about Kyrie Irving is, one, he has been the most healthy net star. I mean, James Harden and KD either played just over half the games or just under half the games. And honestly, he's just having an underrated season. I mean, one of the top scorers in basketball today, playing very well at the shooting guard position because, that's what him and James Harden agreed to. He's played like a top 4 point guard this year, 100,000%. And he's been keeping them afloat, which has been absolutely impressive, especially with the amount of players that are in, the amount of players that are out. And he hasn't really had a full roster except for 7 games, playing with those 3 stars. And Kyrie Irving is still holding his end of the bargain, still playing absolutely amazing basketball, scoring on all 3 levels, being the point guard when he needs to be. And honestly, like him, at least like him, like being there like for the majority of the season, has kept the Nets competitive. Although they've kind of slipped away from the number one seed race, he's still been playing absolutely fantastic. And I mean, this Nets team in general, with Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie, if they're all healthy, they're extremely dangerous. And to think that Kyrie Irving, a 27 point per game scorer, is a third option, I like my chances going forward. So, my first guard, we're gonna have Kyrie Irving. The next guard, and I know people are either gonna be fully in on this or fully out on this, but my second guard for the All NBA third team is Chris Paul. Yes. In terms of honorable mentions, I mean, like, I should really be going through my honorable mentions for the guards. I was thinking Donovan Mitchell. If he played, if it wasn't for this injury lately, he would have definitely been over Chris Paul. Actually, not definitely, but he would have had a chance. Devin Booker also gave a shout to in terms of the All NBA third guard. But Chris Paul, I mean, if you look at the stats, 16 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, almost 9 assists, almost 50% from the field, 39% from three, and playing basically every single game this season. It's highly impressive. I mean, I've talked about in the past that Chris Paul hasn't really had a fully healthy season bar last year because that 3 month layoff until the NBA bubble. But he's been relatively healthy. I know his stats do not shout all NBA to you, especially 16 points a game and 9 assists. I mean, you're like, man, how is this guy all NBA? But his value to his team does not reflect kind of the stats that he produces. He is just so valuable to this team, and he is just I mean, like I talked about all year, the CP3 effect is real. The common denominator with the Pelicans or before the Hornets, their best season in this century came with Chris Paul being at being the point guard, being a top 5 MVP candidate. That's no surprise. When he was at the Clippers, the best days the Clippers have had, Chris Paul was their lead guy. Same thing with the Houston Rockets. They were one game away from the NBA Finals, and the big reason of that is because of Chris Paul. We go to the Thunder. We know what happened last year. They were the 5th seed when they were projected 30 wins. And then he goes to the Suns, takes a team who hasn't been to the playoffs since 2009, and brings them to one of the best defenses in basketball, top 10 on both ends, offense and defense. And they are the number 2 seed in basketball. This guy has changed the culture. His presence has really uplifted the guys around him. Mikal Bridges having a career season. DeAndre Ayton maybe not taking the numbers jump, but he's still been an excellent, a very good center this year. Devin Booker feeling more comfortable being a number 1 scoring option. I mean, he has changed a lot for that team. And like I said, his stats do not tell the whole story or anything close to the story, because Chris Paul has played honestly like an MVP candidate, and those stats probably don't show it, but he has been absolutely fantastic. I had to put him in there. I know some people are going to look at the stats and say, yeah, he doesn't deserve it at all. Or some people are going to be like, yeah, we know how important he is to the Suns. So you're going to have definitely 2 different opinions, but I am for the latter, that he 100% deserves to be on this All-NBA team, and that's why he's my second guard. Next, again, another pick where some people will have a good argument of him not being, of him not going to be here, and that's completely fine with me, because in my first forward position, I have Kevin Durant. For me, it was between him or Zion Williamson, but Zion has been great. I'm not going to lie, and like I said, him and Julius Randle early on in the season, I think I said that maybe that was going to be an argument, but I think Julius Randle has kind of solidified himself there. But Kevin Durant, and the reason why he is probably gonna make a harder case this year to get in, is because although he's averaging 28 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, probably his most efficient season in his career, 54% from the field, 47% from the 3, and 88% at the line, he's only played 31 games. That's it. He has only played 31 games, and that could be enough of a reason to leave him out, because obviously I said that injuries, I'm not going to count them as much as I do in previous years, but less than 50% of the games is a tough argument to make. But when he's been on the floor, he has still looked like a top 3 NBA player. He had that Achilles injury 2 years ago against the Toronto Raptors, and we were thinking, will he ever be the same? And Kevin Durant has come back, and he's honestly looked even better. Like, he's a more efficient. He could still score from everywhere. He is still one of the better defensive players on that Brooklyn Nets team. I mean, he has been absolutely amazing. And, I mean, it's tough to keep him in there, especially with Zion Williamson having the type of season he is. I know he's the 10th, he's in the 10th seed in the West right now, but averaging 27 points a game and 7 rebounds cannot be denied. But Kevin Durant, I mean, when he was healthy, especially early on in the season, was considered to be either number 1 or number 2 in MVP, probably top 3. He's still been absolutely great, and I still think he deserves to be on this list. So that's why he's my first forward. And then for my next forward, this one shouldn't take too long, but Julius Randle. I've talked about him way too much on this podcast. I've been so amazed at how well he's been playing this year. 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, almost 6 assists, 46% from the field, career high 42% from 3, and 81% at the free throw line, and basically playing every single game this year. He is the beating heart of New York. What's hilarious is that last year people thought that he was just a waste of a contract. He was disliked by many New York fans, and now he's playing like a top 20 player. He has just been absolutely fantastic. And honestly, the biggest question for him now is that, look, the New York defense is absolutely stout. They're top 5 in basketball, one of the best in the league. But the offense is a problem. It is. And there's a reason why it's bottom 10 and it's not very good. Because they rely so heavily on a Julius Randle. But can he produce this in the playoffs? We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be like one of those things we're going to have to look out for. But, man, he has to be on this list. He has been absolutely fantastic. And just excited to see how he's going forward, because his value went from down here all the way to up here. I mean, like I said, playing like a top 20 NBA player right now. I mean, you just can't deny how good he's been. He's probably going to win Most Improved. We're going to be talking about NBA awards on Friday with a guest, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Julius Randle still playing extremely impressive with the way he's playing, and that is why he is my second forward on the All-NBA third team. And then finally, the center, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, plain and simple, 14 points a game, 13 rebounds, 2.8 blocks, 67% from the field, and he played every single game. Again, the anchor for a stellar Jazz defense, and I don't care what what anyone says, he is their most important player to that team. Their success relies heavily on how well he plays on the defensive end, always has been, and I expect will be going forward. And Rudy Gobert has proven through multiple years now that he is one of the best defenders in basketball, one of the most impactful defenders in basketball. But now it's all up to him to see what he could do in the playoffs, because we know what the past, and he's been played off the court because of these switches. Can't really defend perimeter players, but now that he is a more polished offensive player, I think he's definitely improved at his game on the offensive end. And they're going to need his defense heavily. They're going to 100% need his defense heavily if they want to make a deep run. So, yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what they do come playoff time. But in terms of the season, one of the best defenders in basketball. Some people want to make the argument for Depoy for Ben Simmons. I could see the argument, but for me, Rudy Gobert's impact cannot be denied, and he's probably going to win it. And he'll probably make another All-NBA team. So, yeah, that's the third team. Let's move on to the All-NBA second team. And again, definitely some controversial picks here. Maybe some people you would expect to be in All-NBA Team 1, or maybe some people you might think I have too high, but we're going to have to wait and see. Let's get into this All-NBA second team. And my first guard for this team is Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard playing in 63 games, 29 points a game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 44% from the field, 39% from 3, 93% from the free throw line. And look, before his injury, he was a top 5 MVP candidate for me. And then he got cold, and the Blazers got a bit cold, and then, that kind of has derailed that momentum. But look, when CJ McCollum was out, when Yusuf Nurkic was out, Damian Lillard put the team on the back, and not only kept the team afloat, he actually raised them to a top 4 seed in the West. At least at that point. I mean, this guy's been playing absolutely amazing. Still playing like a top 3 NBA point guard like he always does. But what's unfortunate for Damian Lillard, and I talked about this in the past, is that this could look like another wasted season. I know he wants to stay on the Blazers. I know he is loyal to the city of Portland, but we want to see him in like deep into series. We want to see him in these final scenarios, and it looks like it's gonna be another year where we're not gonna be seeing that. He's probably not even gonna be close to getting to that mark. But I mean, it is what it is. Let's see what the Blazers are gonna do next year. But this year for Damian Lillard, another fantastic year. Cannot be denied how great he's been playing, and that's why he's my first guard on the All NBA second team. Now, the second guard for my All NBA second team is James Harden. He's only played 42 games, but this season, 25 points per game, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, 46% from the field, 36% from 3, 87% at the line. Look, the only reason why he's not on first team is because of the games he's missed. I mean, he's played over 50% of the games, but that doesn't justify him to get into the first team. But you just can't deny how great he has been for the Brooklyn Nets this season. Because in my opinion, he has been their best player when healthy this year. He was an MVP candidate. This guy was setting people off left, right, and center. He's become more efficient going to the Brooklyn Nets. He's been clutch. And what's crazy about this whole Brooklyn Nets situation, like obviously he was loathing in Houston. He wanted to get out of there pretty badly. But then comes to Brooklyn, and then he comes to Brooklyn. He doesn't have to score as much, especially with having KD and Kyrie both on his team. And he transitioned into a true point guard. Like, this guy has been playing like at an all NBA level, of course. He's been playing at an MVP level when healthy. And although he has had that hamstring injury, he should be back for the playoffs. And I think that this is probably his best chance at a championship. And his game is going to be like so important to the Brooklyn Nets going forward. Him being the lead guard, him setting everyone up. I mean, he has just been absolutely fantastic. There's no other words to describe it. And the only reason he's not even higher is because of the games played. But he'll still be on the All-NBA team 100%. And I think he's going to have a great playoff performance when he does come back, barring any injuries, so knock on wood. But James Harden 100% deserves to be on an All-NBA team. Even with the games missed, I have him ahead of both his Brooklyn teammates. And honestly, rightfully so. He has been absolutely fantastic, and that's why he's my second guard. My first forward for the All-NBA second team is LeBron James. In 43 games, 25 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 51% from the field, 37% from 3, 70% at the free throw line. Look, when he was healthy, especially pre his injury, he still looked like the best player in basketball, LeBron James. And the only reason why he's not on the All-NBA first team is the same as James Harden. He just hasn't played enough games. I mean, a lot of people had him as their MVP favorite before his injury, and he still looked like the best player in basketball. What sucks is this injury might hinder him for the rest of his career, and maybe his team come playoff time. But he's still 100% All-NBA. He's still 100% worthy of being on the All-NBA team. Sadly, I don't think Anthony Davis has done enough to warrant an All-NBA, even a third-team spot. But it is what it is. But LeBron James still 100% deserves to be there, and that's why he's my forward. Enough said. He's the best player in the world, and it's gonna be extremely interesting to see what happens with the Lakers come playoff time. But I still believe them. I still believe that LeBron can take them to the promised land. It's just gonna be an extremely tough road, but yeah, he is my first forward on the All-NBA team. My second forward for the All-NBA second team, playing for only 51 games this season, but he has been absolutely fantastic for the Clippers. I'm talking about Paul George. 24 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 47% from the field, 42% from 3, 87% at the line. Arguably, besides his top 3 MVP season, this is probably the best season of his career. People diss playoff P or pandemic P or whatever you want to call him, but he has been in absolutely top form this season. Kawhi Leonard being in and out the lineup as well hasn't really helped him in terms of building chemistry, but Paul George has been doing his part. Still showing that he has top 10 abilities as an NBA player, which I believe a lot of people tend to forget sometimes. But he's still a fantastic NBA player. But the thing about him, the thing about the Clippers is no one is going to care what they do in the regular season. They could be winning 60 games, which obviously is impossible, but they could have won 60 games, and they're going to be like, ha ha ha, you still blew a 3-1 lead against the Nuggets. And I truly believe that's the case. The Clippers underrated, a very underrated season. They're third place in the West right now, but no one's talking about them. No one's talking about them whatsoever. No one's talking about how great of a season Paul George is, because they only going to care what he does in the playoffs. And then that's going to be completely interesting. I do believe the Clippers are equipped to make a deep, deep playoff run. But a lot of this has to come down to Paul George producing in the playoffs like he does in the regular season, which is still a question mark. I cannot deny that. So, yeah, that is something to definitely look out going forward to the playoffs. But in terms of this season, another fantastic season for Paul George, and he'll probably make another All-NBA team. So, yeah, he's my All-NBA team, second forward. And then the center for the All-NBA second team is Joel Embiid. I mean, 29 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.4 blocks, 52% from the field, 28% from three. I think it's 28% or 38%. I think I wrote that wrong. But he's still playing absolutely fantastic. 86% from the line, 49. He's played 49 games this season. It's actually 37% from three, or 38, my bad. But, yeah, he has been on an absolute tear this year. This is where I wish I didn't have the center position to kind of restrict me from choosing just centers for this position, because if he counted as a forward, I honestly would have put him in All-NBA second team. I 100% would have, because this guy is having the best season of his career. Whatever Doc Rivers has talked to him about, he has turned Joel Embiid into an absolute monster. Some of my criticisms from him from past years was that he takes too many jump shots. He doesn't assert himself enough for how dominant he is. And this year, he is doing so. Still playing awesome on the defensive end. And honestly, he would be my MVP candidate if it weren't, again, for the injuries. Because he's still playing absolutely fantastic. Him and Jokic have been battling it out all season to see who the best center is. You can make a great argument for both guys. I'm still Team Jokic, but each to their own. But Joel Embiid, he is a huge reason why the 76ers are number one in the East. And when it comes to matchups come playoff time, whether they face off against the Bucks or the Nets, I truly believe there's no one that could stop him. Absolutely no one that could stop Joel Embiid if he is asserting himself, if he chooses to be dominant. He could be that guy. Because he is going to get fouled every single time. I mean, I think he's averaging over 10 free throw attempts per game. He is shooting at an extremely high percentage at 86%. This guy is just unstoppable. He is just becoming one of those guys who's absolutely unstoppable. And he is going to be a big reason as to why the 76ers may have a deep playoff run. And if they're going to the championship, if they're trying to get the championship or the finals, he is going to have to be the number one option. He is going to have to dominate every series because he has the ability. We've seen it throughout this entire regular season. Now it's time for him to show us in the playoffs. But he's been fantastic, and that's why he is the center for the All-NBA second team. And now we're going to get to the first team. This first team definitely changed over these months. I definitely had some of the guys in the other teams higher before, but obviously because of games played, because of their records and stuff like that, I had to drop them. But after some long thinking, some long deliberation, here's TV's All-NBA first team. And we got to start at the guard position. Stephen Curry. 60 games played this season, 32 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 49% from three, 49% from the field, 43% from three, 92% at the line. Look, the Warriors are 2 games over 500. And honestly, this has a lot to do with Steph Curry. It's been absolutely insane. I mean, a lot of people want to put him in MVP discussions. I mean, fair enough. He has been absolutely phenomenal this year. But I just can't. He's the 8th seed. I just honestly cannot put him in that position. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he is probably having his second best or even best individual season of his career. He is playing absolutely fantastic basketball, playing like a top 2 player in the NBA. And in terms of Steph Curry, I'm not going to go too long on him, but in terms of a first round matchup, if they get the 8th or 7th seed, no one's going to want to face them. No one is going to want to face Steph Curry in the first round. Whether you're the Suns, whether you're the Jazz, no one wants to chase around Steph Curry for 48 minutes trying to get the ball out of his hands. I mean, I could see what teams did to Damian Lillard last year in the bubble to Steph Curry in the playoffs. Just double team him at half court and just let the other guys beat you and not Steph Curry. I could definitely see that happening just because he is that good. But we know how he performs in the playoffs. I think he is an underrated playoff performer just because he doesn't have a finals MVP, but I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic. He is going to be a joy to watch come playoff time. And for me, although his record's number 8, I still have him All-NBA first team. My second guard of the All-NBA team is Luka Doncic. 61 games, averaging 28 points per game, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 48% from the field, 35% from 3, and still 72% from the free throw line. I thought that would be a lot higher by now, but he still has minor struggles at the free throw line. What's crazy to think about Luka Doncic is that he's only in his 3rd year, and honestly, I can almost make the case for him being a top 5 NBA player. The Mavs started off super slow this year. They did. But they are peaking at the right time. They are 12 games over 500. And it really does look like they really just don't want to play in the play-in tournament. I mean, he's just been absolutely fantastic. One of my criticisms of him in the first 2 years is that he's just not efficient enough, especially from the 3. People like to talk about him as a good shooter, and I thought he was good too, but he needed to improve on his percentage from 3. He's definitely improved that by 4%, which is really good. Taking over games late, setting people up. My only gripe about him is his technical fouls this year. That really is it. I mean, he has 15 techs in the season, and one more means he's suspended. So that's definitely something out to look for come playoff time. But instead of the season, he's still playing absolutely fantastic. And I think the Mavs are exactly where I thought they would be. And I think with the competent front office they have, I think they can make some changes going forward. And I think sooner rather than later, you're going to see this team as finals contenders soon, especially with how good Luka has been. He's still one of the most entertaining guys to watch in the league. Hopefully I get to see him play live when basketball comes back and more fans can go in. But yeah, Luka Doncic 100% deserves to be on the All-NBA first team, and he is my second guard. My first forward on the All-NBA first team is Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. 57 games, 28 points per game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 56% from the field, 31% from the 3, over a block and a steal per game. Look, everyone has been talking about him for the last 2 years and how great he's been. He is a 2-time MVP, and honestly, I think he has comfortably put himself as a top 5 NBA player. What's crazy to see with Giannis on the court is just how dominant he is in the paint. How much has he improved his passing? His defense is still top tier. I mean, he is just one of the best players in basketball. But the same thing with Paul George on the second team. No one cares what Giannis does in the regular season because he has shown us 2 seasons already that he could be in MVP discussions for a long, long time. But losing to the Raptors the way the Bucks did 2 years ago still kind of hurts for them, especially because they had a 2-0 lead. Last year, they completely faltered in the second round, or just in the bubble in general. They just did not play well. But it all matters what they do come playoff time, and that's the only focus people are going to have on Giannis. I know, the thing is, he's probably going to be a top 3 MVP candidate again this year, but no one's going to care because they only care about what the Bucks are going to do in the playoffs and how Giannis responds to pressure. And I think that's why, because they want to kind of maybe talk about him in terms of all-time rankings as well very soon. But, Giannis still hasn't really proven too much come playoff time. And I think that this season is probably going to be his best chance to go deep, having a very, very deep playoff run. And are the Bucks going to finally make the right adjustments, or are they going to stick to the same stuff they did the last 2 years? We'll have to wait and see. But Giannis, 100% is going to be on my All-NBA first team. My second forward on the All NBA first team is the fun guy himself, Kawhi Leonard. 49 games played this season, 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 52% from the field, 40% from 3, 88% at the line. No one is talking about Kawhi and how great his season has been. Probably his most efficient season of his career. What's at least good about this year compared to previous years of Kawhi is that he is not taking as much rest days as he did in past, at least in proportion, with the games played and stuff. He's been absolutely fantastic. I don't want to keep driving this point to the ground, but it's all about what the Clippers do in the playoffs, and that's where he's gonna get his attention. I think he's proven himself as a proven commodity in terms of a top 5 player, winning 2 championships with 2 different teams. The way he led the Raptors to championship in 2019. No one's questioning how good Kawhi Leonard is as a player, but the Clippers, they're gonna have to see. They're gonna have to prove something come to playoffs. But they're embracing the Kawhi mentality. Honestly, this Clippers team, not being talked about a lot. They're still playing excellent basketball, and Kawhi Leonard has been, the number one guy for that. But it's all about how the playoffs goes for this Clippers team, and you know what? Fair enough. But Kawhi Leonard, let's talk about how great of a season he is right now, and that's why he's on my All-NBA first team. Then my final spot for the All-NBA first team, I think this is probably the most easiest choice of them all. At the center position, we have Bam Adebayo. No, I'm just kidding. Nikola Jokic. Plain and simple. He's played every single game this year, 68 games, 26 points per game, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 57% from the field, 40% from the 3, 86% from the line. He's just been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Dominant on the defensive end. He's also an underrated defender because he is top 15 in steals, and he is, I think, top 5 or top 10 in defensive plus minus, box plus minus. So, I mean, he's doing pretty well on both sides of the court. Has kept the ship afloat with Jamal Murray being out. Obviously, it's actually he's not playing, but Jokic is still playing at a very, very high level. And the thing about Jokic is that, unlike Pandemic P, like we've seen in previous years, like we've seen from Dame when he has kind of crumbled late into the playoffs, Nikola Jokic takes his game to a whole nother level come playoff time, and I think that's what's going to happen again this year. He has proven to be one of the better playoff performers in the NBA. And I think we have to have the discussion soon that Nikola Jokic is probably a top 5 NBA player. I know you want to talk people like Luka, AD, and stuff like that, but Jokic needs to be in the discussion very, very soon because of his impact on the team, him being one of the best offensive players in the league. He is just having another fantastic year, an MVP level season, and he's been doing it so consistently all season long, and you have to give respect to that. And that's why he is my center on my All-NBA first team. So yeah, that's my list. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree. Did I leave someone off? Do I have someone too high, too low? Let me know down below. Shoot me a DM. I'm willing to respond. Before we get into the power rankings, here are some other news and notes from around the NBA. Over the weekend, Russell Westbrook has tied Oscar Robertson for most triple-doubles of all time at 180. And the Wizards do have a game tonight. They are facing the Atlanta Hawks, so maybe, just maybe, he can break the record tonight. And it's going to be an absolute joy to see. It's just been amazing about what the Wizards have done, basically, over the last month and a half to kind of get themselves back into the playoff race. Right now, they still sit... they sit number 9 now, so they've actually moving away from the 10th spot. Very nice turnaround for them, and Russell Westbrook has been a big part of that. Now, in terms of All-NBA, I know some people are going to make the argument that Russell Westbrook should be there. I think we can't discount the first half of the season, kind of how much the Wizards were struggling. And obviously, they're a 9th place team in the West and the East already, so that's going to hurt them. But I can't deny he's having another fantastic season, and he deserves a lot more respect. He is a top 10 point guard all time. I wouldn't go as far to say he's a top 5 point guard all time, but he is still up there. Actually, that's a good idea for a podcast in the summer. Maybe look out for that, top 10 point guards. But yeah, Russell Westbrook, he's probably going to make history tonight like he usually does. He's just an amazing basketball player. In other news, Zion Williamson has a fractured finger, and I think he's probably going to miss the rest of the season if the Pelicans do not make the play-in tournament. And besides that, Brandon Ingram has a left ankle inversion sprain, so and he's also out indefinitely. So two of the big dogs for the Pelicans are out. They picked up a really good win in the ball versus ball matchup yesterday against the Hornets, and they're only I think 2.5 games behind the number 10 seed, 1.5 games. So there's still a chance. So if they go to the play-in, maybe Zion goes in. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Let's hope he's okay. And for the people saying that Zion is soft, I mean, this is the Pelicans want to keep him for the next 5 to 7 years. So they're not taking any sort of risk in terms of this injury. So yeah, Zion Williamson looks like he's out for the season, honestly. So yeah, those are the other news and notes. Let me know down below what you guys think. And now to end off the show, we are going to be going through the power rankings. The second to last one. Next week is probably going to be the last one to end the season off. But 10 teams, no new teams have been on. So this is just a lot of movement here. But yeah, without further ado, here are my power rankings for this week. Coming in at number 10, we have the Portland Trailblazers, a 3-1 week. And what's good about this is that they finally got out of that play-in spot. They are 1 game ahead of the Lakers with, I believe, 4 or 5 games remaining. So, I mean, nothing is set in stone. I mean, if they lose and the Lakers win, actually, I think they still have the tiebreaker over the Lakers, so that's very interesting too. But yeah, nice bounce back after having that rough stretch a few weeks ago. Are they gonna make the? Are they gonna stay in the 6th seed? Who knows? But they've still been playing very well. That's their number 10 on my power rankings. Coming at number 9, we have the New York Knicks, 2-2 week. I still don't think that their number 4 seed is completely safe because there's 1 game separating them and the Heat, who are in 6th. So the Knicks, Hawks, and Heat, they could definitely interchange in these final 5 games. But the Knicks playing absolutely fantastic. They're still playing well on the defensive end. They had some pretty bad losses to the Nuggets. My only thing about the Knicks I'm worried about for the playoffs is kind of how their offense is going to operate, like I mentioned in the Julius Randle section of the All-NBA team. But their defense has been amazing, and I think that alone is going to make teams not want to face them in the first round. So, yeah, coming at number 9, the New York Knicks. Coming at number 7, we have the Denver Nuggets. Struggled this week pretty heavily, 1-3. I'm not saying they lost to kind of bad teams. I mean, all the losses they had were to some very, very good teams. But what this week showed me more than anything is that come playoff time, they're going to really miss Jamal Murray. Because in these situations, when these teams have 2 or 3 really good scoring options, it's going to be hard to compete. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. has been great, but moving into that number 2 option right away has been absolutely super tough for him. And Jokic can't do everything on the offensive end, so yeah, it's definitely been a rough week for them, and that's why they dropped to number 7. Coming at number 6, we have the Brooklyn Nets, 1-2 week. It feels like the number 1 seed hopes are gone, and honestly, they actually might be losing their 2nd seed because they're only half a game ahead of the Bucks. Kyrie Irving said in an interview early this week that this stretch was necessary to kind of show the Nets that they could face adversity. I don't know if I agree with that. Let me know down below what you guys think. But yeah, it's been kind of rough, especially because they went on this, I think they were on a 4-game losing streak before their last win. So yeah, feels like number 1 is gone. They might even drop to number 3, but I think they'll be fine either way as long as they're healthy. But right now, they're number 6 on my power rankings. Coming at number 5 was a team who actually went undefeated this week, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks, 4-0. They're only half a game behind the Nets, so they could possibly get the 7th seed, and I think that would be very, very interesting to see if they get it. Playing fantastic basketball, Giannis playing at All-NBA MVP level, and their team is finally getting healthy, which is good. Now again, the regular season doesn't matter. Let's see what they can do in the playoffs. But right now, they're ending the season off pretty well, and right now, they're 5th on my power rankings with 1 week to go. Coming in at number 4, we had the Phoenix Suns, 2-2 week. They lost to the Lakers yesterday without LeBron, which I think for Laker fans, they're rejoicing because if maybe this is the start of them trying to figure things out, which is good to see for the Lakers. But yeah, the Suns look like they're slipping away from the number one spot. 4 games left, or 2 games behind the Utah Jazz, so it looks pretty rough going forward. But I think they'll be fine. They still had a very good season, but they did drop a couple of spots on my power rankings. So coming at number 4, the Phoenix Suns. Coming in at number 3, we have the LA Clippers, 2 in 1 week. It looks like they're almost healthy. I mean, except I think Serge is the only one that is actually injured at the moment in terms of like their roster. I mean, you have people like Amir Coffey and stuff like that, but Serge, he should be back pretty soon, which is good to hear. The only thing I've watched about the Clippers, and I think this was clear in their last game against the Knicks, is that they've had some issues getting some good shots in the clutch, whether it's Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. So that's going to be something to watch come playoff time, but I think they're good. They're still going to be fine. They're number 3 in the East and the West, which they reclaimed from the Nuggets, and they're also number 3 on this week's power rankings. Coming in number 2, we have the Utah Jazz, 4-0 week. It feels like they secured the number 1 seed over the Suns. They haven't had Donovan Mitchell in a while, but I think he should be good for the playoffs. Especially with that week with the play-in tournament stuff, I think that just gives them extra time to rest, which is good. But again, I mean, fantastic regular season. It's time to see if they can carry over that momentum to the playoffs. Having that great defense, that great 3-point shooting that they've had all year, let's see if they can carry it over. And now coming in at number 1, I think it's been a while since this team was at number 1, but the Philadelphia 76ers. Right now, currently riding an 8-game winning streak, 4-0 week. They've locked up the number 1 spot in my opinion. They have been absolutely fantastic to end off the season. They're finally getting fully healthy, and Embiid playing at an MVP level. Simmons is back. I think they are a dangerous team come playoff time, and oh man, no one, like I mentioned earlier with Embiid, no one's going to stop him, especially if he's healthy and he's engaged. This team is going to be extremely dangerous, and I think it's going to be an extremely fun watch come playoff time. But yeah, those are my power rankings. Let me know down below whether you agree or disagree. Let me know. But I think this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for some awesome content. I might be bringing out a new YouTube video on Wednesday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm gonna have another guest come in this Friday for the podcast, and we're gonna be doing the TV's award show with a special guest who I'll be announcing on Thursday on my Instagram page and Twitter. So let me know down below who you think it's gonna be. Another guy who's been on a podcast. I mean, it's a new podcast guest too. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really fun. That's gonna be coming out on Friday. Yeah, I'm just excited for the NBA playoffs to come around, and there's going to be just a lot of NBA content coming very soon. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for all the support. Hope you have a fantastic day. TV signing out. Take it easy, guys.